Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing today? Hope y'all are having a wonderful day so far. I am super excited about the training today. I think y'all really going to like it. We're going to be talking about how to book 15 plus appointments on LinkedIn without having to cold message strangers. So I hope you guys are pumped for this. I'm very excited. Do me a favor, if you're watching live, just type in live in the comment section and let me know where you're coming in live from. Are you YouTube? Are you Facebook? Are you LinkedIn? Let me know. Also, let me go back to the comments here. Okay, so we're going live, I know right now, in the high ticket with high level Facebook group, as well as on my profile, and I believe LinkedIn and YouTube. So again, if you're joining us live, say live and let us know where you're coming in from. So I know a lot of people wanted to attend this but couldn't make it. So if you're watching this a little bit later on and you're watching the replay, be sure and type in replay. Let me know that you were able to see this. We'll also be sending out the recording, so you are good to go. So first off, let's talk about who this is for. So if you're on a business, agency owner, coach, really any business owner that uses LinkedIn to sell your products, sell your services. So you use LinkedIn to acquire or to spread the word about your business and to get more customers. And you've been using different strategies that haven't necessarily been working. You've been cold messaging a lot of people. You've been probably getting a little bit ignored and maybe even pissing people off. So you're starting to feel that uncomfortable awkwardness of cold messaging strangers, because really this day and age, they're getting bombarded. And so we have to think of a different way to get in touch with these people, get in front of these people. So if you are also a business owner that you know that if you could find a strategy where had people coming to you, you were building authority, building that know, like, and trust factor, that you knew you could grow your business a lot faster, you'd have better sales conversations, and it would just be easier to grow your business. So if that's you and you're sick of sending cold messages to strangers, sick of those awkward conversations and getting ignored or pissing people off, then you're in the right place. So we're going to teach you how to avoid all that today. So if you're not in the high ticket with high level Facebook group, type in group and I'll send you an invite to that group. We talk a lot about different strategies for booking 40 plus sales calls each month without having to cold message strangers or running any ads. Okay. So if you're not part of that group and you want to be invited, just drop group into the comments and I'll be sure and send you the invite to the group. All right. So before we get started, I definitely want you guys to be ready to focus, turn off all distractions, grab something, a pen and a paper, your tablet, your computer, and be ready to take some notes, because I'm going to show you from start to finish this process that I've been using to generate appointments, not only for myself, but also for our clients. So just to give you guys a little, before we get started with this, I want to give you a little backstory on how I found all this stuff out. So I've been in the digital, for you, those of you that don't know me, if you've been following me for a while and maybe you know some of my story, I've been in the digital marketing agency business or world game for about 12 years now. I started my first agency in 2010 and I grew that to 6 figures. And I've grown 2 other digital marketing agencies since then, and to about mid 6 figures. And all of those businesses I have grown through organic strategies. I've never used a single ad to grow any of those businesses. So I've learned these different strategies over 12 years time. So in 2019, I actually started my 3rd agency and I scaled it to 6 figures in about 10 months, and using 100% organic prospecting, both on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And when I first started this new agency, the new explosion of agencies online had just kind of gotten started. There was a few coaches out there that were coaching people on how to grow agencies, build agencies from scratch. I joined one of those programs, and I have nothing but great things to say about the person that I took that coaching course from. And luckily, I was in a space that was very narrow. I was in a niche of yoga studios, helping them grow their memberships. And so there wasn't a lot of competition in that space at the moment. And so what I learned from these coaches is a certain DM script, messenger script, that I would go into Messenger and I would send these messages to people. And I got some bad habits, honestly, because it kind of worked. Honestly, that's how I started to build my business. But over time, what I found that as I sent these messages, even if it was working, I was pissing a lot of people off. A lot of people did not want to receive these types of messages But again, I was in a narrow niche. They really haven't been bombarded yet by these types of messages. They haven't seen a lot of that yet. So it was new to them, and some of them were open to it. But as more and more people came into the space, I found out that my response rate started going down. My number of appointments that I booked each month started going down. And so I started to look for ways to, that weren't quite as awkward. I wasn't sending, strangers messages hoping they'd respond to me, not getting ghosted, not getting ignored. And so as COVID hit, a lot more people started coming online. So people lost their jobs, they quit, whatever the case may be. A lot of people started these online businesses and started taking all these coaching programs from different coaches on there, all of which are teaching these different organic strategies and scripts to go to the messenger, to take, to message people on social media. And so as more and more people come online and are using these tactics, we've started to hit a saturation point. So when you're hitting these saturation points, the same messages, the people are getting bombarded day in and day out by the same exact messages, and they're just starting to become blind to this. And it's really starting to annoy a lot of people. So to succeed right now in organic prospecting, you got to really set yourself apart. You got to think of ways that you can, other strategies that people maybe are not overusing at this point, that you can still use while they're kind of new and novel. Okay, so you've got to really start thinking of ways to differentiate yourself. And luckily, I started to recognize this when my appointment rate started going down, my response rate started going down. So I wanted to figure out how I could build authority in my niche very quickly, build that know, like, and trust factor as quickly as possible, because I knew that if I did that, competition really wouldn't matter anymore. And I could take all those skills and strategies and use them in any business venture that I wanted to go into in the future. And that's what I've actually done, because once COVID hit, the yoga studio niche got destroyed. Lots of yoga studios went under. And so I pivoted and started a new business, and I've been able to grow that to mid six figures in about 8 months. So plus, when you're doing things this way, it just feels a lot better. You're positioned a lot better. Sales conversations feel better, and it's just an easier way to get clients. So here's something to think about. The person that you connect with the most and you believe that gives you the best chance to accomplish the goals that you're set out to accomplish is most likely the person that you're going to hire to work with, right? And at that point, sales objections just magically disappear. So if you can build that know, like, and trust, that authority with your target audience, then you are ahead of the game. You really are. A lot of your competition is not doing that. They're just lazy. So it's been a journey, but I really think I've cracked the code on a lot of these different channels. I work with some very successful 7-figure coaches. And if I name dropped, you probably know a lot of them. They're pretty, well-known people. And I've seen how they've been able to fill their calendars with appointments and really already have these people pre-sold and ready to work with them, so that the sales process or the sales conversation just becomes a formality at that point. They're already ready to buy. They got their wallets out, and then they just jump on a call and they're closed. Okay. So if you guys want to be in that position, then stick around. We're going to be talking about how you can do that. So the method I'm going to be sharing with you today is the best way that I've found to position yourself as an authority and to book appointments with people that are already ready to buy using LinkedIn. Okay. So I created this process, and I've actually trained several virtual assistant teams to run this same system for 2 separate ClickFunnels 2 award winners. So if you're not familiar with that award, that is an award that ClickFunnels gives out to people who are able to hit $1 million with a single funnel. So I've worked with 2 different coaches on this program, one of which was launching a brand new product to a market that has never heard of them before. So I know this works even if you're just starting out. Okay. So before I show you how to book more calls using LinkedIn, I'm curious, let me know how many appointments right now you're getting booked from LinkedIn every month. Don't be shy, because a lot of people, honestly, it's gotten a lot harder. So if you're not getting any, that's great. We're going to show you how to change that. But let me know how many how many appointments you're getting from LinkedIn every month. Drop that into the comments, if you will. I'm going to take a drink of water while y'all do that. All right. Looks like everybody's shy. Nobody's going to drop their numbers. All right. No worries. All right, Wes. Thank you. Thank you, Wes. See, Wes is honest. Wes is getting 0. We're going to change that today, man. Okay. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here, and then we'll get into the meat of the content here. Can everybody see my screen? Drop me a 1 if you can see my screen. Damn, TJ. TJ's killing it. TJ might need to teach this class. All right, so can everybody see my screen? Say yes if you can. All right, cool. So first off, let's talk about the 3 reasons cold DMing people on LinkedIn doesn't work and why it's kind of a waste of time. And I'd love to get TJ's take on this. If you're making 30 plus a month, that's great. So first off, let's talk about the 3 reasons cold DMing is not working. So the number 1 is the average LinkedIn user only spends 28 minutes per week on the platform. Okay, that's not a lot of time, right? On average, anywhere from 3 to 6% of your market is ready to buy at any one point in time. Okay, so not to mention that people's guards are already up, and you've got to deal with the other 2 reasons. Okay, so the numbers are really against you if you're trying to go straight for the sale on LinkedIn. TJ, this will definitely work for agencies for sure. It'll work for pretty much any niche, and you'll see why in a second. So really the numbers are against you because your people aren't spending a lot of time on LinkedIn, and then only about 3% of those people are actually ready to buy what you have to offer them. And if you're going to go straight for the offer, you better have a damn good offer. You can't just have a half-ass offer if you're going to use that kind of strategy. All right, so the next one is cold DM blindness. Now, I talked a little bit about this earlier, but there's been a huge influx of people using organic messaging to acquire clients. Your future customers are literally getting bombarded every single day on LinkedIn Messenger by a ton of different people that are really using very similar tactics and scripts. You know, the straight for the jugular offer, the never-ending interrogation questions, which get really annoying. That's one's really bugging me right now. And then I'm guessing, do you like any of these strategies? When you fill that in the DM, when you get those in the DM, do you like it? And if you're doing that same thing that you don't like to other people. So don't do that, okay? If it doesn't feel good to you, don't do it to other people. I think that's a good rule of thumb there. So these people have their guards up. They're already ready for somebody to try to pitch them in the DM. And then when they see one of those tactics that they've seen over and over again, then their guards are going to go up automatically, and they're just going to ignore you, and they're going to just disregard your message, right? So they will just start to tune you out. Some people even cuss you out, and you know that does not feel good. Neither one of those things feel good, okay? So you haven't received permission. Number 3 is you haven't received permission to your prospects. Sometimes it can feel like a violation for you to come straight into the DMs and start pitching people. So they haven't even given you a clue that they're interested in what you have to offer. So why are you pitching them right now? Wouldn't it be much better to not to mention easier to only pitch to people that are asking for it? Do you think that it would be a lot easier to get a client if you only pitch to people that raised their hand and asked you to pitch to them? Yes, it definitely would. So I want to show you a couple of examples that I've gotten in my DMs. I'm sure you've got a ton of these. I could literally show you 100 different examples, but let's just go through a few. Now, I left the usernames out. Let me move this banner for a second. Okay. All right, so let's go back. All right, so here are a few examples. I hid the usernames because I don't want to throw anybody on the bus, because honestly, I use these same techniques till it stopped working. And to be honest, if you're continuing to use these old tactics and old scripts, it's going to get harder and harder because it's very saturated out there. So here's an example. Hi, Ron, I reached out because I wanted to invite you for a discussion regarding business ownership. I don't even know what that means, really. With your experience as a B2B appointment generation expert, I can provide you suggestions of business concepts that fit. Mind if I share a bit? And then they asked me for my phone number. Is anybody going to give you, would you guys give that person your phone number? Drop me a 1 if you would give them the phone number. Yes. Or 1 if you wouldn't, 2 if you would. Anybody going to give that person their phone number? I'm definitely not. Sorry. So here's another example. This one's actually a little bit better, I'll be honest. If I was interested in getting leads, if I was an SEO company, if I was a digital marketing agency, which I used to be, but I'm not anymore, I might be somewhat interested in this because the ask is a little bit less of an ask than getting on a phone, giving them my phone number or jumping on a call. They're just asking me if it's okay to send the link. So if I was interested in this, and I was that 3% that's ready to purchase or interested in this type of thing, then I might respond to this. So this is not quite as bad. If you're going to just go straight for the pitch, it's not bad if you have a great offer. And again, you better have a great offer, okay? The next one is just a huge block of text. Like, I'm not going to spend my time to read this. And if you read this message, it's all about this person. It's not about the problems that I'm having or fixing any of the problems that I'm having. It's just two big blocks of text all about this person, okay? So do not do that kind of stuff. So let's talk about the new way. So we've established that DMing, cold DMing, is probably not the best way to get clients from LinkedIn. And honestly, if that's your strategy moving forward, it's just going to get harder and harder, like I mentioned before, because I just want to, if you're using those tactics, again, it's just, there's so many more people online now. It's just hard to stand out in the DM. And I'm telling you, if you're just going straight for the pitch, people are just going to ignore you more and more, and people are just going to stop, responding at all. So I also want to tell you that it's not really your fault. I guess, like I said before, we've all learned these techniques from different people that are teaching all these different strategies and scripts. And I've done it myself. So I don't blame you for doing it, but let's start today and try the new way and see if it works better for us. Okay. So to be successful with organic prospecting, you got to be thinking outside the box. You got to be doing something different. And most importantly, you got to be building your brand authority. Building your brand authority in your niche is the long game. That's going to be how you're in business for the long term. When people get to know, like, and trust you in your niche, and you're the one that they talk about in your niche or send people to, then you've got a real business. Okay. Now, if you're just trying to send cold DMs and offers in DMs and cold email and all this stuff, and you're not building a brand, you're only going to last a very short while. Okay. So that's why I'm doing this training. And so what is the new way of filling your calendar using LinkedIn? How do you get your prospects coming to you, begging to buy from you instead of you chasing them down and annoying? Okay. So I have developed something that I call the LinkedIn Event Growth System, or LEGS. If you look at the acronym there, I'm about to show you how to fill your LinkedIn events, or how to use LinkedIn events to fill your calendars with sales calls with people that are actually want to talk to you, so that you can book more appointments, you can have a better show up rate, and you can have better sales conversations that turn into new customers. Okay. So before we dive into the training, I'm curious, who here is actually using LinkedIn events currently for your business? If you're watching this live or on the replay, type events in the comments section and let me know if you've actually ever run a LinkedIn event before. Who here has run a LinkedIn event before? Anybody? All right. Looks like we don't have anybody that's running LinkedIn events. Good. Well, we're going to teach you how today. Okay. So the first step is, okay, so Wes is kind of doing it. Facebook user, I can't tell how that is. Okay, cool. All right. So step one to getting appointments using LinkedIn events is to build your audience. We've got to build an audience. So before you even start planning your event, you should be connecting with people in your target audience on LinkedIn every single week. And I'd say if you haven't been actively building your audience on LinkedIn, your connections on LinkedIn, I would say do that for at least 2 weeks before you go and schedule your event, so that you can start connecting with the right people. Because in another step, we're going to show you how to start inviting those connections to your LinkedIn event. Now, there is a slight problem here. Now, LinkedIn only allows 100 connection requests per week to be sent through their system, okay? So how do we actually send 500 plus targeted connection requests each week, like I suggest here? Now, There are actually 3 methods to help you send more connection requests and send more messages to your target audience. But let's walk through one of them real quickly, and I'll kind of show you how this works. So I'm going to open up LinkedIn. I'm going to close these out right here. And then if you come down here and if you log into LinkedIn to your feed, you'll actually go to My Network. And then you go to Connections here. And then you can go over here to Add Personal Contacts and go to More Options. And you can actually upload a file if you have the email addresses. TJ Ulink, just does this automatically. Also Expandy, which we talk about a little bit. So you can upload a file here if you have their email addresses. And this is the manual way to do it. TJ's talking about a tool called Ulink that does it automatically. There's another one called Expandy. But that is how you actually send more connection requests. You need to get a large list of your emails that you can actually pull from LinkedIn. There's different tools that'll pull the email addresses from LinkedIn. Then you can re-upload them and you can send connection requests. Okay. So that's one way to do it. But how do we actually build email lists? How do we get the emails of our target audience? Well, to do that, you can actually use a tool called Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is a paid version of LinkedIn. And what's really cool about Sales Navigator is you can actually come in here and you can create a list of your target audience. We've got some lists already created, but one of the techniques that I use is I find my probably 5 to 10 very best ideal customers. I go to their profile, I'll click on their company page, and then I'll see what company or what industries their company is in. So that's the first filter that I come in here and I'll put in the list here. So I'll go to industry. Now, again, mine is marketing and advertising. Put that in there. And then I can come over here. And another thing that I like to do is I like to make sure that these people are active on LinkedIn, at least the people that I'm starting to connect with first. So I want to grab the people that have posted in the last 30 days, okay? And then maybe I want to narrow down by geography. So I'll come in here and I'll add a geography. So let's say United States. And then we want to narrow by job title. So I'll come in here and I only want owners. You have to do this for yourself, but you come in here and we'll type in all the different names for owners, founder, CEO. I'll just keep it at that for a second. And then once I've got my parameters kind of set in here, what I'll do is I'll come through here and I'll kind of vet this list. If I see somebody in this list that doesn't really fit, I'll add an exclusion. So this is another example, and I actually have a video on all these methods. If you are in the group, I dropped that last week. So you can check that out, gives you some more methods. But if I wanted to exclude this lady, because it sounds like she works for a dog company, I would come in here and I would go to current company, because that's the company name. If I want to exclude that name, I come in here and paste that in, and I would just hit the exclude. And then it should take that lady out of my list. So I would go through the list, and anybody that doesn't fit, I would type in the names. Let me do another example of something a little bit more broad so you can see how I'm doing this. I mean, these are all pretty good leads. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you add exclusions and it will pull those people out of the list. So I would go about 5 to 10 pages deep and start pulling those people out of the list. And then you can actually come in here and you can save the search. Now, once you have the search saved, what you can do is you can come in here, and this is the manual way to do it. There's a lot easier way to do it. If you want to watch that video in the group, type in group and I'll give you an invite to that group, and I'll also tag you in that post if you let me know, and you can watch that video. So what you would do, you would go to this person's profile, and then you can, I'm not going to go into these people's profile because I want to respect their privacy, but you can come into the contact information, and you can have, sometimes they'll have their email address, sometimes they'll have their phone number in there, and you can keep all that stuff in a spreadsheet. So that's the manual way to do it. If you want to see the actual tool, or if you want to learn about the tool that does this automatically, drop group. I see a lot of you guys dropping in groups, so I'll be sure and follow up with you guys. So that is how you could go about building that email list. And then we showed you how to invite those people via email. And we'll take questions after the call, after this, after I go through the presentation. So if you have any questions, be sure and save them up for the end of the call. So that's the first step. We're building our connections, right? And so if you want to see the other 3 methods to add more connections and send out more messages, make sure and drop group into the chat. Okay. Next step is we got to schedule your event, and then we want to invite your connections. So with events, they must be scheduled from your company page. Okay. So you got to have a company page, and that's where you're going to schedule your event. And you can add as many speakers as you want. Like if you've got employees in your business and you want them to make them speakers, they can add 1,000. They can invite 1,000 of their connections per week. Okay, so that's why step number 1 is so important, that you need to be inviting these 500 targeted connections each week, because that's the only way you're going to get to be able to invite the people in your target audience. You have to be connecting with 500 plus people that are in your target audience each week, so that you can invite up to 1,000 people to your event per week. So if you're just starting out, you might want to run weekly events, because you might not have 1,000 connections that are in your target audience when you're first getting started. But once you've built up your connections, you can actually run monthly events. And you think about this, you can start inviting 4,000 connections per speaker each and every time you run an event. So that's a decent amount of people to get your offer in front of. So if your event has a compelling headline, compelling title, and it matches, the target audience, and you've got really good high value content, you're going to get a large percentage of those people that actually attend the event if you've got a compelling title, and book a call if you've got great content. And then also, you're going to pre-warm those people, because now you've shown them how much what your knowledge is, and then they're going to be much easier to close at that point. So, and the way you kind of scale this thing, if you're promoting your events, is you promote your events on other channels, email, social media, other social media channels, text message marketing, running ads to these events, and adding more and more speakers, because more and more speakers means they can invite 1,000 people per speaker. So that's how you're going to actually end up scaling this thing. And you can see how massive this opportunity can actually get. Okay. So now for step number 3, when you schedule your LinkedIn events, you actually have the ability to use what's called a LinkedIn registration form. And this is where members actually have to share their contact information with you in order to attend the event. So they're basically giving you their name, their email, sometimes phone number, and then that information they've given to you to use to put into your CRM, that you can now send them reminders for the event and also follow up for future marketing. So this is definitely worth testing, because you'll probably get a little bit less people to say they're attending, but they're much more qualified. They're much more likely to show up, and they've said yes to giving you their contact information. So you can import that into your CRM. Again, you can send them reminders for the event so that they show up, and you can market to them in the future. So as each person raises their hand, they're telling you they're attending, and then they're giving you permission. Remember, we talked about getting permission to talk to these people. And you'll want to send them a confirmation message once they've registered. Okay, so that's the way to open up the initial conversation. They've raised their hand saying they're attending your event. And then you can ask a question like, hey, will I see you live, or do you want me to send a recording, to get them to respond? And just like on Facebook, just like any of the other platforms, when you're getting a back and forth conversation going in the messenger, that is training the algorithm to show that person more of your content, because now they think that you're good friends and they might want to see more of your content. So they're going to show them more of your content. So you'll also want to not only send a confirmation message right as they sign up, and if you want to be even more different and personalized, you can send them a personalized video saying, hey, thank you for signing up. Do you have any questions that you want answered on the call? And that just adds another personal touch to it. So you also want to send a reminder the day before the event and on the day of the event via LinkedIn Messenger, and then also through your CRM using email and text if you've collected that information. All right, so next, what we're going to do, step number 4, is to actually run your event. So you can host this on Zoom. I'm actually doing this event through StreamYard, and you'll want to include a call to action at the end of that event and give them a compelling reason to take the next step. So if you're trying to get them to book a call, I want you to make sure that you give them easy next steps on how they're going to be able to book that call. Drop the link into the content, into the comment section, and make sure they understand how to book a call, okay? So that's how you run your event. And then once you run their event, once the event is finished, you're going to download that recording either from Zoom or from StreamYard or whatever you're doing it on, and you're going to add that replay recording to a landing page that has a booking widget on it, right? And below the video so that people can actually book a call. Then you're going to take that link and you're going to send it out to attendees via email, via text if you collected that information from your registration forms. And then you'll also want to send that replay via LinkedIn Messenger, okay? And then that's another way to ask a question after you send that replay to open up that warm conversation. You know, they've attended your event, hopefully, and now you're opening up that conversation, and that's a great way to transition to booking a phone call if they're interested in what your event was about. Now, obviously make your events relevant to what you have to offer, but a certain amount of those people you can transition into booking a phone call. You're also sending them the replay to book on that replay page, so you're giving them several different entry points to book a phone call with you. And if they don't book a phone call with you, for the people that haven't booked yet, then you can actually put them in a long-term nurture sequence. And down the road, when they're more in market for what you have to offer, then they might book a phone call with you and become clients. So let's just recap on everything we just talked about. So first, we're going to build your audience before scheduling your event. You want to be sending about 500 plus connection requests each week. Now, once you've built up your targeted connections, for a couple of weeks, you're going to schedule your event and invite 1,000 people, 1,000 connections per week per speaker. And then you're going to add all the attendees to your CRM if you're collecting email and phone number from LinkedIn forms. And then you're going to send new attendees a confirmation message through text and email and LinkedIn message. Open up the conversation with a question to train the algorithm to show more of your content to that person. Send them a day before reminder and a day of reminder. And then you're going to run your event and give them a compelling reason to book a call with you and show them how to book a call with you. And then finally, you're going to send that replay link and you're going to follow up with them and give them several different entry points to book a call with you. So that is the process, okay? So let me ask you a real quick question. If you had a choice between trying to do this all on your own without any guidance, starting from scratch, or having somebody that's done this time and time again, like myself, to guide you, to give you the step-by-step process on how to set up and promote your LinkedIn events properly, to book the most appointments possible every single month without sending cold messages to strangers and annoying your future clients. Which one would you choose? Type in 1 if you'd prefer to go it alone, or type in 2 if you would like some guidance on that. Let me know. Anybody? Do you want to do it alone, or okay, cool. We got somebody, we got a 2. Anybody else? Well, I know a lot of you guys can crush this on your own and probably figure out all this stuff on your own, but why take the time to go out and try to learn all this stuff when you've got somebody that has all the processes, all the SOPs mapped out for you, step by step, can show you exactly how to get everything set up, how to promote your LinkedIn events, how to fill those LinkedIn events with the people that are ready to buy from you. So what I'm doing is I'm actually running a live boot camp next Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And this is everything that we're going to do in the boot camp. So first of all, I'm going to walk you through how to get past the LinkedIn's weekly 100 connection restriction and add 500 plus connections every single week. We're going to show you a tool where you can set this up once and then set it and forget it. And it's going to just invite those people throughout the week for you to start growing your connections with your target audience. Then I'm going to show you how to set up the funnels and all the follow-up systems you're going to need. I'm going to show you how to set up the tech and what to say in your follow-up to convert event attendees to book sales calls. And out of respect for your time, I didn't go through a lot of this today because, it would just take a little bit too much time. But we're going to go through all that in the boot camp next week. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to start showing you how to set up your events, okay? How to make them compelling and promote those events to get the most attendees possible. And I'm going to show you several ways outside of LinkedIn to promote your event so that you can get more people into that event and then fill out your event so that more people see your offer and book more phone calls. And then I'm going to show you, I'm going to actually give you a script and a structure on what content to include when you're delivering your content. So I'm going to show you exactly what to say and when to say it so that your ideal customers are literally lining up, raising their hand, and giving you permission to book a call with them. So finally, I'm going to show you what to do after your event, how to follow up, and what to say to start building those relationships with your customers that in a way that feels good and builds authority with your niche, and so you can book more calls and get more clients. So that is basically what we're going to be going through. And here's everything that you're going to get. If you cannot attend the boot camp is going to be recorded and it'll be available for you inside a training portal. You'll get a login in case you can't be there live. So you can come back and you can watch any of the content at any time. And then you're also going to get my entire step-by-step checklist or standard operating procedure, my SOP. And it's literally step-by-step everything you need to do to get all this set up, promoted, and really run a great event. I'm also going to give you the funnel and the event content script and the reminder and follow-up email sequences and messenger sequences to improve your attendance rate and to book more sales calls. So if you're interested in that boot camp, be sure and type in boot camp in the comments and I'll reach out to you and I'll give you a little bit more information on that boot camp, which is next Thursday at 12 p.m. So if you want to attend that boot camp, drop boot camp in the comments and we'll get you going. So with that being said, I'm going to head back to the computer and we'll start answering some questions if you guys have any questions. All right, cool. We got some boot campers. Sweet, sweet. I will definitely reach out to you guys. Awesome. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions? And just so you know, this is a very meta presentation. I'm running an event. I presented to you guys. I'm trying to get you to tell me to reach out to you using boot camp. So this is exactly what I'm going to be teaching you in the boot camp. Okay. Actually, whoever the Facebook user is, I am using other channels also to promote this, and that's going to be part of the boot camp as well. I'll be teaching you those other channels because LinkedIn is one channel and it works great, but why not add other channels to get as many people onto our events as possible? So Shanti, I don't, is it Shante or Shante? I don't know how you're going to tell me that, but I don't want to say it wrong. Shante. So if you have, a partner, if you have employees, if you have virtual assistants, those are ways that you can add speakers. I mean, if you don't know anybody, it's going to be kind of tough. But yeah, it's going to have to be, or have somebody that you kind of work with or partner up with on different events, and you can both help each other promote your events. I'm not on LinkedIn very much. What is a realistic time? So a realistic time, if you've got this software, literally, like I said, you can send 500 plus connections requests per week. And, a certain amount of right now I'm getting about a 45% connection rate. And I'll share with you guys what I'm sending as my connection message. But, I'm getting a pretty good connection rate on that. So it might not take you. So let's see, if you could send out 500 per week and you get 50% or 40, let's say 50%, that's 250 per week. You could get to 1,000 in a month if you've got that good of a connection rate. Shantae, got it. All right, thank you. So there's a couple of different pieces of software you can use. I think TJ mentioned one earlier, Ulink. Another one we're using that has a little bit more capability than Ulink. It's a little bit more robust. It's called Expandy. I think it's expandy.io. There's also I talk a little bit about it in the video in the group, which if you guys will tell me, drop group into the chat. I'll send you an invite after the training. What else we got? Any other questions? And again, if you're interested in that boot camp training, make sure and drop in boot camp so I can follow up with you. I know you're interested. Any other questions? All right. If there's no other what do you say in the connection message? My whole thing is humor. I try to be, I guess I can pull it up, but it's basically something like, hey, I tried to think of something super witty and something to blow your mind, and this is all I could come up with. Just something stupid and humorous, and it seems to work really well, honestly. If you can think of something funny, so just think about this. People have their guard up on these channels because, again, they're just bombarded all the freaking time by people that are trying to sell them something. So if you can come to them with a different angle, make them laugh, that's the best way in. And don't try to pitch them. Just build a relationship like a normal person. And then later down the line, when they see some of your content or you have something that might help them, then you can share it with them and then just build the relationship, man. And it will work a lot better for you these days. I'm telling you, unless you just have a really ridiculous good offer that people would be stupid to say no to, you're going to have to build a relationship first these days. Any other questions? So yeah, Jake, I would say try something funny. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Anybody else? All right. If there's no other questions, then I will end it for today. Thank y'all for joining us. Honestly, this is, I hope you guys will use this strategy. I think it'll really work for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll make sure and reach out to you and answer them for you. Are you seeing any people in the service industries doing this? You're talking about like agencies, or are you talking about actually like what kind of services, Shante? Can you send me a message or drop the services you're trying to ask about, Shante? Are you talking about home services? I have not to say that it wouldn't work. It's just first of all, how are you going to identify your target audience, right? Because when you're trying to target B2B companies, it's much easier because you've got something like Sales Navigator that you can pull people's job title, you can pull all this other stuff. If you're just in the home services, really everybody and anybody can be your target audience. So it's really hard to narrow that down. But I'm not saying that it couldn't. Oh, you're going after home service business owners. Yeah, it could definitely work. Especially if you're like the title of your event, something like, how to generate, I don't know. I'm trying to think of this on spur of the moment, but how to get, 5 new, or make it a weird number, like how to get 17 new roofing clients in 1 month in the next 30 days or whatever the case may be. I don't know, service industries probably spend a little bit less time on LinkedIn than the average user. So that, again, that's that 28-minute. But what I like to do is kind of combine a lot of different channels. So I know you're doing cold email. I don't know if this would be a super effective way to use cold email. Probably wouldn't do cold email, but you can use other channels, Facebook. This is just one technique to get people to an event, to a webinar. So for example, I have a Facebook group. I put this same event in my Facebook group, and I can invite 500 people from my Facebook group to the event. I actually invited 1,000 people. I think there was a glitch in the system. So that's another way to get people into your event. So I'm going to teach you some different ways to fill that event on that training. So if you want to be part of that boot camp, please join us. Yeah, franchise owners, I think that would probably be a better target, easier to target on Facebook or LinkedIn. Any other questions? All right, cool. Well, thank y'all again so much for joining us. Hopefully we'll be doing a lot more of this type of content. If you have any suggestions on what kind of content you'd like to learn, drop it in the comments. And if we get enough people voting on that, I'll definitely do a training on it. And all you guys that mentioned boot camp and group, I'll be reaching out to you to tell you about the boot camp. So again, thank y'all for joining us, and I will see you guys next time.